Hello and welcome to tonight's talk, which is what is your identity? And maybe you saw my post this week on Facebook about changing your behavior sometimes means more than just changing your behavior or even changing your habits. Sometimes it can be as simple as changing your identity. So I wanted to walk through that with you tonight and then challenge you to come up with your identity that you'll assume for the rest of the month. So we make 35,000 decisions every day. From the time we get up in the morning, as we bustle through our morning routine and start our work routine and make our decisions about what we're going to eat and what we're going to do with those emails and what words we're going to use when we communicate with people that are in our lives. So we put our heads to bed at the end of the day. 35 decisions are made every single day. So just think about that for a second. What are some of the big decisions that you made today? And what are some of the little decisions that you might not even have paid much attention to? Because it's the decisions that you're not paying attention to that can really accumulate either for us or against us by the end of the month, right? It's those little decisions about how long we're going to stay in bed in the morning, or what we're going to grab for breakfast, or whether or not we're going to exercise, or what language we use when we talk to ourselves about our exercise. Those are some of the little decisions that we're probably not paying attention to that cumulatively can add up to some either really exciting results at the end of each month or some really destructive or disappointing results at the end of the month. So just take a second and jot down, what are some of the big decisions you made today? And what are some of the smaller, almost subconscious decisions that you made? Here are some of mine. When that alarm goes off in the morning, should I hit the snooze button or should I go for a walk? When it's time for breakfast, should I eat sweet potatoes or that delicious sugary yogurt with a drizzle of maple syrup and a handful of granola and what the heck, some pistachio nuts as well? Should I exercise or check my email? Should I sit on the floor for work today or should I sit in my chair? On Sunday, when I don't have anything else planned, should I go for a nice hike or should I Netflix? This weekend, I really wanted to watch that Harry Potter 20th anniversary special, but I decided to go for a hike instead. These are obviously just scratching the surface of the decisions that we make in a day. And if you're making bigger, more important decisions than this, I don't mean to minimize what's going on in your life. These are just some of the decisions that came to mind when I was putting this together. Anybody have any input or decisions that you had to make today that you want to share? All right, you can keep that to yourselves. So how many times in those 35,000 decisions, how many times can we expect ourselves to keep making the right decision? How many times can we keep expecting ourselves to make the right decision before finally decision fatigue sets in? And decision fatigue is a real thing. It's become a real it's a real syndrome. And some people call that burnout, or some people call that lack of motivation or lack of willpower or frustration or giving up. But decision fatigue sets in for some people by 10 a.m., for some people by Wednesday, and for some people, most people by February 1st. We start out with a bang and we're anticipating the new year and all these possibilities, or we're anticipating Monday, it's going to be my best week, or tomorrow's the day when I'm going to really hit it hard and I'm really going to do all the things that I told myself I was going to do. I'm going to make all the right decisions. But over time, over months and years of decision fatigue, we stop having the ability to make the right decision, or the decision that we think is going to bring us closer to our goals. So when we are experiencing this decision fatigue, we don't make our decisions anymore based on our goals or our intentions or our resolutions, or whatever word you want to use there. We don't even make decisions based on our written plan. When we are experiencing decision fatigue, we make our choices based on convenience, like whatever's sitting there on the table, or whatever restaurant has the shortest drive-through line, or whatever we can grab in the pantry that doesn't require any cooking. Or we base our decision on reward, what's going to taste the best, what's going to feel the best, what's going to be the coziest, what's going to bring me, instant gratification. Or we make the decision based on habit. I just grab the bagel because that's what I've always done. I just hit the snooze button because that's what I've always done. I just sit in a chair instead of the floor because that's what I've always done. So even though I consciously know that sitting on the floor to work on Zoom with my clients is going to make me feel better. It's going to feel better on my joints. It's going to make me more mobile. It's going to maybe burn a couple more calories. And it puts me on the floor so that I'm in a better position to demonstrate exercises. I know that consciously, but by the time I start my Zoom sessions, I've already had to make my decision about my breakfast, my decision about my snooze button, and my decision about this and that, and what to wear, and what temperature to put the thermostat on, and etc. So I do what's based on habit. Okay. Again, if you're making bigger, more important decisions than that, I don't mean to minimize that, just using this as an example. Do you guys recognize that happening in your life? Like, you want to do, I'm not going to say you're supposed to, but that you want to do these things, or you have these goals, or you made these resolutions or promises, or you signed up for this program. But then when it comes down to it, you don't follow through. Would you agree that you're basing your decision on either convenience, reward, or habit? Yeah. And so you're normal. The good news is you're completely normal. So instead of basing your decision on convenience, choice, or habit, what if you let your identity make your decisions? So a lot of us identify, I identify as a trainer, or a coach, or a girlfriend, or a daughter, or a dog owner, or a 51-year-old. But that's not the identity that I'm talking about. I'm talking about an intentional choice that you make for yourself to almost reintroduce yourself. My name is, or I am an blank, fill in the blank, an intentional choice that you are making for yourself, an alter ego almost, or a new ego, who's going to make the decision-making process easy. Because Laura is not in charge anymore. It's this identity that I've chosen. So I can almost give up the responsibility of choosing, because my new identity makes it very easy to see clearly what that person would do. So, I mean, one was, what would Jesus do? Remember when everybody had those bracelets, WWJD? Well, when I turned 40, I wanted desperately to be the twin of Dara Torres, the Olympic swimmer, who in her 40s competed in the Olympics and won a couple silver medals. So sorry, Jesus, I turned that into, what would Dara do? Would Dara be hitting the snooze button? Would Dara be sitting in a chair? Would Dara be indulging in yogurt with maple syrup and granola? No, she would be doing what Dara would do. So during that period of my life, it became a lot easier to make the choices, make the decisions that helped me reach my goal. Now, I will say I never looked exactly like Dara Torres, but I was definitely acting a lot more like her than I was like Laura, the trainer, the girlfriend, the dog owner, the daughter, the New Yorker, whatever. So think about that. What identity could you adapt that would help bring you closer to what you want to accomplish this month. We're only going to talk about 1 month at a time. I don't need you to change your entire year or your entire life with this identity. Let's just try something new on for a month. What is your goal for yourself for this month? And what is the identity that you need to assume to get there? So when I'm Dara, when my alarm goes off and it's time to make a decision, should I snooze or should I walk? I walk. There's no decision to even be made because the alarm went off. I'm Dara, or I'm an athlete. I've kind of given up my girl crush on her and I've moved on to being my own girl crush. I'm an athlete this month, so I'm going to walk because that's what an athlete would do. I'm going to eat that sweet potato because that's what an athlete would do. It's full of vitamins, it's full of fiber, it's a vegetable, it's full of vitamin A, it's carbohydrates that are going to fuel my activities, my athleticism for the morning. Am I going to exercise or am I going to check my email? I'm going to exercise. Email is still going to be there at 10 a.m. I'm going to exercise first thing in the morning and get it out of the way because I'm an athlete and that's what an athlete would do. And I'm going to honor my body and I'm going to give myself that gift of being an athlete because that's my identity. I'm going to sit on the floor and heck, maybe I'm going to piggyback that habit or that decision of sitting on the floor with doing a couple push-ups or doing a couple Turkish get-ups while I'm down there, or doing a couple ankle circles and point flexes while I'm down there. Nothing good happens in a chair. I've been in a chair for 18 months with COVID, and I will tell you, nothing good happens in the chair. When you're on the floor, it's a lot more, when I'm on the floor, it's a lot more likely that I'm gonna also do a couple exercises while I'm down there. And then on the weekend, am I gonna hike or I'm gonna watch Netflix? Because I'm an athlete, there is no decision here. An athlete wouldn't be sitting around watching Netflix. I mean, and I'm not saying don't honor some downtime or give yourself some leeway from time to time. But for me, really identifying this way has already helped me in the last 6 days. I started this actually before New Year's. And it's fun. It's fun to try. Everybody loves Halloween. Everybody loves a costume party. Everybody loves make believe. I'm making believe that I'm going to the Olympics this month and I am treating my body just like that. I'm not going to be the same, trainer, dog owner, girlfriend that I was in December. I'm an athlete. So I hope that you will play around with that a little bit. And pick something that really honors the goal that you have for yourself for this month. See how that works. Pay attention to the decisions that you're making throughout the day, the big ones and the subconscious ones. You don't have to write down all 35,000 decisions that you make every day, but also be aware of that decision fatigue and see where that might be the culprit of some of your I want to say maybe unrelinquished habits or disappointments or frustrations that you've already seen with your resolutions or goals for this month. See if we can trace that back to decision fatigue, and then let's figure out how to make better decisions. So, who will you be this month? I want you to write this down somewhere. You can share it when we're done with the recording. You can email it back to me if you're watching this on a recording, or you can just write it down somewhere, put it on your fridge, put it somewhere where you can really tap into it every day, 35,000 times a day, and see if it doesn't help you get a little closer to your goals by the end of the month. I'm glad you were here to watch this. Please holler if you have any questions at all, and I'll see you next time.